She became pregnant despite being a virgin. Nello had built her life on a single truth: she was untouched. Her virginity was not just a personal choice, it was her crown in a world that measured a woman's worth by it. In her community, purity was both shield and currency. She wore it proudly. People respected her discipline, admired her restraint, and some even envied her certainty. To Nello, being a virgin was not only who she was, it was all she was. But then her body betrayed her. It started with the morning sickness of nausea, waves of exhaustion, and the realization that her period had stopped. She told herself it was stress, maybe illness. Yet the unease grew until she stood in a clinic, staring at the test results that said she's pregnant. Nello could not understand it. She had never been with a man, never. Yet the world inside her body was undeniable. She walked out of the hospital with a secret already too heavy to carry. At first, she kept it hidden, but her secret refused to stay small. When her family found out, disbelief turned to disappointment. Disappointment hardened into shame. Their daughter, the example of purity, was now the subject of hushed conversations and sideways glances. The gossip spread quickly. Maybe she had a secret lover, maybe she was lying, maybe she wasn't as holy as she claimed. The weight of judgment pressed on her chest. She kept insisting she was a virgin. Doctors dismissed her insistence as denial, a shield against a truth too painful to accept. But Nello's conviction never wavered. She repeated her truth like a prayer. She was a virgin. She believed it in the stillness of her room. Believed it when her reflection revealed a swelling belly. Believed it even as the world turned its back. The final blow came when the doctor showed her the ultrasound shadows of a tiny body moving inside her. The room was silent except for the hum of the machine. It was no longer suspicion, no longer rumor, but proof. Still, she clung to her truth with desperate hands. Her voice, steady though her heart trembled, declared what no one believed. She was untouched. She was pure. Was she holding on to the truth or hiding from it? And if she truly didn't know what happened to her, who did? She kept insisting she was a virgin, even as she gave birth to her baby. Nello's parents smiled when they held her baby, like they had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. Nello gave birth to a boy. Even as she pushed him into the world, even as she heard his first cry, she whispered the same words she had clung to for months. She was still a virgin. The nurses exchanged glances. The doctor shook his head. But Nello's truth remained unshaken. She refused to touch the child. When they placed him on her chest, she turned away. The baby cried, and she felt nothing but emptiness. Depression wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. She spent her days staring at the ceiling, ignoring the sounds of her son in the next room. Her parents transformed overnight. The disappointment vanished. The shame disappeared. They cooed over the baby, bought him clothes, took turns feeding him. Their joy seemed to burst from every corner of the house. Nello was too broken to question it. She watched them from her bedroom doorway. Her mother sang lullabies. Her father rocked the baby to sleep. They moved with practiced ease, as if they had been preparing for this role. Their happiness felt foreign in a house that had been filled with whispers and judgment just weeks before. One day, young man appeared. Nello heard raised voices from the living room, then footsteps walking towards her room. He stood in her doorway, demanding to see his child. Nello stared at him with genuine confusion. She had never seen this face before. She told him he was mistaken, that she didn't know him. That afternoon, the truth spilled out like water through a broken dam. Nello was their only child. In their culture, sons carried the family name forward. They had begged her to stay home, to have children who would belong to their household. When she refused, they made their own plan. They drugged her food one evening, months ago, brought the young man to her room while she lay unconscious. The pregnancy they had pretended to shame was actually their greatest triumph. The anger they had shown the community was performance. Behind closed doors, they had been counting days, preparing for their heir. Nello looked at her sleeping son. His innocent face held no trace of the betrayal that created him. Her body, her truth, her choice had all been stolen by the people she trusted most. The child was pure, but his beginning was poison. Now she faced an impossible decision. She could run from everything, leaving both parents and child behind, or she could stay and claim her son, taking back what little control remained in her shattered world. Nello left her parents' house in the dead of night. The baby was tied to her back with a wrapper, his soft breathing steady against her skin. She carried no bag, no money, only the decision that she would never again live under the roof of people who had stolen her body and her trust. Each step into the darkness was heavy, but it was freedom. The world outside was unkind. She found shelter in a church for a few nights, then moved from one small job to another. She washed clothes, swept floors, sold vegetables in the market. The coins were small, but they bought food and soap. At first, she fed her son with hands that still trembled, unsure if she could ever love him. But with every cry, every tiny grip of his fingers, something inside her began to soften. One afternoon, the young man came to find her. His face was the same as the day he demanded the child, bold and restless, but now there was guilt in his voice. He admitted her parents had called him, promised him money and favor if he agreed to lie with her while she was drugged. He had accepted, though he claimed he did not know the depth of the evil plan. Nello listened in silence, her son sleeping in her arms. When he finished, she spoke firmly. You chose to take part. You are no victim. You have no right over this child. Her words cut clean. The man lowered his eyes, mumbled a few more apologies, and left. He never returned. Months later, her parents came searching. Their faces were lined with worry, but their eyes still carried the same hunger for the boy they had called their heir. They begged her to return home, to let them raise the child. They wept, saying it was all for the family name. Nello stood her ground. You drugged me. You used me. You destroyed my trust. This child is mine, not yours. Her voice shook, but her resolve did not. She turned her back and walked away, leaving them in tears. Life remained difficult, but it was hers. She worked harder than she thought possible, carrying her baby on her back as she sold food in the market. Slowly, the distance between her and the child faded. She began to smile at him, to sing softly while rocking him to sleep. For the first time, she called him her son not with pain, but with pride. Her past had been stolen, but her future was hers to shape. The boy she once rejected was now her strength.